One fine morning, in the peaceful village of Lumina, children played under a sky that seemed unusually dim. The villagers, who loved the bright and twinkling stars, noticed something was wrong. The biggest, brightest star, the Star of Hope, was missing from the night sky. Without it, the nights felt darker and colder, and the people began to lose their smiles. "What will we do?" cried little Mira, clutching her teddy bear. "Without the Star of Hope, how will we find our way through dark times?" Hearing the distress of the villagers, Zamar the Radiant appeared in a flash of golden light. His eyes sparkled as he knelt before Mira. "Fear not, little one," he said, in a voice as gentle as a lullaby. "I will find the Star of Hope and bring it back to your skies." The villagers cheered as Zamar waved his staff, and a path of glowing footprints appeared before him. The footprints led to the Forest of Shadows, a place no one dared to venture. The trees there whispered secrets, and the air was thick with mystery. But Zamar was unafraid. As he stepped into the forest, the shadows seemed to curl and reach for him. "Who dares enter my domain?" boomed a deep voice. From behind a gnarled tree stepped Gloom, the keeper of shadows, a tall figure draped in dark mist. His eyes glowed like embers. Zamar stood tall and radiant. "I am Zamar the Radiant, and I seek the Star of Hope. It belongs to the sky and the hearts of those who look up to it." Gloom chuckled darkly. "The star is mine now, hidden in my fortress of shadows. If you wish to claim it, you must pass 3 tests." Zamar nodded. "I accept your challenge." The first test, the Labyrinth of Fear. Gloom waved his hand, and the ground beneath Zamar shifted. He found himself in a twisting labyrinth. The walls were alive, showing Zamar his deepest fears. Lonely children crying, flowers wilting, and the sky growing darker. For a moment, Zamar's heart wavered, but then he raised his glowing staff and spoke softly. "Fear is but a shadow. My light will guide me through." The staff's golden glow brightened, and the labyrinth walls dissolved, revealing the way forward. The second test, the River of Doubt. Next, Zamar came to a roaring river with waters that whispered discouraging words. "You can't do this," the river hissed. "You will fail." Zamar hesitated at the edge, but then he noticed small glowing fish swimming against the current. Inspired, he whispered, "Even in doubt, there is hope." He touched the water with his staff, and a bridge of light formed, allowing him to cross safely. The final test, the Cage of Despair. At last, Zamar reached the Fortress of Shadows. Inside, the Star of Hope was trapped in a cage made of black thorns. The star's light flickered weakly. "The cage feeds on despair," Gloom said, appearing beside him. "Only someone truly selfless can free it." Zamar thought of the villagers and their smiles, of Mira's tearful plea. He placed his hand on the cage and let his light flow into it, filling the room with warmth and hope. The thorns dissolved, and the Star of Hope blazed brightly once more. Gloom shielded his eyes from the light. "Why would you give so much of yourself for others?" he asked, his voice trembling. Zamar smiled gently. "Because true strength comes from bringing light to those in need." The Star of Hope rose into the sky, illuminating the fortress and forest. The shadows around Gloom melted away, revealing a lonely figure underneath. "Perhaps," Gloom whispered, "I too can find light within myself." A radiant return. Zamar returned to Lumina with the Star of Hope shining brightly above. The villagers cheered and danced under its warm glow. Mira ran to Zamar and hugged him tightly. "Thank you, Zamar," she said, her eyes sparkling like stars. Zamar smiled. "Whenever the light fades, remember that hope is always within you." And with that, Zamar the Radiant disappeared in a flash of golden light, ready to help wherever he was needed next.